Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Hello, very good evening to you, and welcome back to the Locker Room. I feel as though we've been together a hell of a lot these past few weeks, guys. We're honest to God, we're not living together, not yet. Graham has asked me in the past, but I declined that offer at the time because I had a better offer. I got a big cardboard box to stay in. But anyway, that's enough about our personal lives. You can comment on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, or maybe X, as somebody calls it. But as I keep saying to people, I can't say X in my house because then my partner always, have you been talking to your ex again? As well, but there you go. Don't worry, I've got my pills here. We're on until 7 o'clock tonight. I was going to say keep your comments coming in, but we haven't got any comments yet. But you know what I mean. Start your comments on here. Joined by Graham and Mikey, as always, on a Friday night. How's it going?
All good. All good.
All good, Mikey.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, been all right. Just a bit of a boring Friday.
Yeah, exactly. This is why I love having Mike on the show. Grim, he tells it the way it is, because last week, I'll remind you about this a million times, mate. It's all right. But I gave him the big build up to the Hibs game and, and stuff like that. And then there was it. Yeah, we were poor today. That was it. So, but yeah, Mikey has got a big career in the comedy English Grey, and Graham is going to be his agent. And yeah, so enough about that. On until 7 o'clock, get your comments coming in. A lot to get through, guys. Last night we were on for the Rangers game. Rangers out of Europe. Benfica beat them 1-0. Where have you been? And also we'll look at the Six Nations game tomorrow. Doesn't really mean much to Scotland, apart from winning, but we'll win this now because we can't win the Six Nations. But the Scotland squad was announced on Tuesday, was it? Yeah, Tuesday for the games. As well. Before we pick the bones out of the team, Graham. Now when I say to Graham this afternoon, can you run through the names of the team, the squad? And Graham's like, yeah, I'll do it. But remember that program, Graham, Brain Day. And remember, Graham,
where are you going with this?
No. Well, yeah. Well, no. And remember, Celebrax is give us a quick reminder, Graham. And Mikey won't get that. Mikey won't get that one because he's too young. I wish I was young, but anyway, let's skim over that. So Graham's going to run over the squad for the games next weekend, and we'll pick the bones out of the team, and I think Graham will be happy.
I'm always happy. Before I do, just to say good afternoon, Caden Malone and also Ross the Kelly fan. Good to see you guys on tonight. So the Scotland squad in full is we've got 4 goalkeepers. Don't know why. Xander Clark, Angus Gunn, Liam Kelly and Craig Gordon. We've got 11 defenders, Liam Cooper, Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, Scott McKenna, Nathan Patterson, Ryan Porteous, Anthony Ralston, Andy Robertson, John Suter, Greg Taylor and Kieran Tierney. 7 midfielders, Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, Lewis Ferguson, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Kenny McLean and Scott McTominay. And just the 3 strikers, because that's all we ever have, is Che Adams, Lyndon Dykes and Lawrence Shankland.
And the Northern Ireland game will be, the Netherlands game will be next Friday night, the 22nd, 8:45 kickoff. That'll be 6:45 here, I would imagine. And then the game at Hampden on Tuesday, the 26th, is at home to Northern Ireland. tickets on sale if you go to the Scottish FA website, and you can find more details there. Right, Mikey, what's your... I'm waiting for this, Graham. I'm waiting for this answer, by the way. Hopefully it's going to be a bit of a long answer, because we're on until 7 tonight. What do you think of the squad, Mikey?
It's pretty good. Pretty much what I'd have expected. 4 goalkeepers is a bit of a weird one. I'm not sure why he's done that. But to be fair, I would have maybe liked if they gave a couple of other players a bit of a chance, maybe the Blair Spittle or something. Just someone a bit out there that they can not really take a loss on. But yeah, overall, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, Graham, I take it you'll be happy. I think, like, I know that we've been going on and on for ages on the show about Shankland being in the squad, but I think it's overshadowed by Craig Gordon a wee bit, because you wouldn't imagine a year ago that he would still be playing football and he's mega a brilliant recovery, and it's good to see him in that squad.
Oh, absolutely. As I think a lot of folk, probably myself as well, probably thought he'll never get back to that form again with that double leg break. But to see him back has been fantastic, and he's not lost anything. I thought he was great on Monday night against Morton. Made a couple of really big saves at big moments in the game. Delighted to see him in there. 3 Hearts players in that Scotland squad: Xander Clark, Craig Gordon, and obviously Lauren Shankland. I'm delighted with that. Now, obviously, the big talk will be who's going to be on that plane to Germany. We won't take 4 goalkeepers, I don't imagine. I don't know why Liam Kelly's in there. I don't think he's good enough for that Scotland squad, if I'm going to be honest. But it is friendly game, so there's nothing to lose. I can never understand Mikey's point as well, bringing other players in, maybe like untried people. I get that as well. But obviously, Steve Clarke trusts that squad that he's got. Now, the one player I think I would like to see in that starting 11 is Lewis Ferguson. He's been brilliant for Bologna. He's the captain. He's a top goal scorer. He's been a real talisman. Hopefully, he gets a chance. And obviously, from a selfish point of view, I want to see Shankland play because he's the best striker Scotland have got. There's no Kevin Nisbet in there. There's been no call-up for like Ryan Hardy or Tommy Conway. There are players that maybe we could have brought in, but I think overall, it's a squad that is not, it's a decent squad. It was pretty expected. There was no real shocks in there. Overall, yeah, it's a decent squad. 2 friendly games. Holland game, don't know what we'll learn from that, but Northern Ireland game at home, is assuming Scotland should win that. We're a stronger side than them. And if I'm honest, that's probably the game that I'm expecting Shankland to start in at home to Northern Ireland. I don't think I start in Holland. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I start in that one.
Mikey, does it give you a wee indication about what the squad's going to be for the Euros? Or obviously, Stevie Clarke might have 1 or 2 wee nuggets up his sleeve, but do you think that's the squad that he'll be taking to Germany?
I think on the whole, yeah. Obviously, it won't go with the 4 goalkeepers in Germany, but there will be some players in there that won't be in. But I think the major part of the squad will be the same, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think I would like to see Shankland in the 2 games, Graham. I know that you were saying about Northern Ireland get home, but I would like to see him, maybe building a relationship with with Lyndon Dykes.
Oh, so with that, absolutely, I'd love to see him start. But I just think he'll go with what he knows, and that'll be like a Lyndon Dykes or Che Adams. But he will get his chance. Now, whether they do maybe give him 45 minutes each, I don't know. But I'd like to see him starting. Of course, I would. But I just think he will. I just think that Northern Ireland game at Hampden is a game that I think he'll probably get more chances in that game. I don't see him getting a lot of chances against Holland, up against guys like Van Dijk. But honestly, Shankland against Van Dijk, I would love to watch that. It would be brilliant. But I just don't see it happening. I think what you'll get is Shankland will probably get the last 10 minutes of that Holland game, but hopefully starts the Northern Ireland game, because that's a game that I think he could get a few goals in. But for me, and again, I keep saying already, for me, he's on that plane to Germany already. He has to be. He simply has to be. There's nobody better than him.
Yeah, the only issue is I don't know why he's not been in the squad up until now. Well, I don't know why he's not started the game up until now, but there you go. Curry Boy on YouTube, I don't know what team you support, but he was saying, Mikey, you have top football knowledge, So you've got your fan club watching again, Mikey. So that's good to see. What about me and Graham? Anyway, we'll move swiftly on from that. We've got a small matter of a championship game tonight. We'll look ahead to Dunfermline against Dundee United kicking off at 7:45 as well, and hopefully we'll have some team news around about 7:15 tonight. We'll get that. Okay, so let's get on to the job in hand then. Talking about the Premiership games tomorrow, the last round of Premiership games, Mikey, for a wee while. It's funny because I don't know about you, but I enjoy this window between November and up until March that there's no kind of any international games. But I feel as though sometimes that it kind of gets in the way as well. But you didn't. It's funny because you didn't mind it recently because well, did I tell you we're going to Germany? Well, I'm not, but Scotland are going to Germany and all that. But it'll be weird not to watch football next weekend on a Friday night as well.
Yeah, it will be, but I mean, I'll be happy to watch Scotland. We're actually pretty good at the moment. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the November through to maybe February, March period is my favourite bit of the season. Not from a Hibs perspective this season because it's kind of been a bit poor, but yeah, it's the major kind of part of the season. It's where the most games are, and I think it'll really benefit a lot of teams getting this break because it's been so relentless for the last sort of 2-3 months.
Yeah, and then but when we come back, Graham, it's the business end of the season. You would say you've got the Scottish Cup and you've got the league and you've got relegation, you've got the playoffs as well. It's all happening.
It is. There's like 4 games till the split after the games tomorrow. Maybe this break comes at a good time for some teams, i.e. Aberdeen, to get a new manager in, which they desperately need. So it probably is a good time for a lot of teams. But I mean, I actually genuinely love watching Scotland now. Obviously, we said before, Michael, on this show that there used to be so many times international break come along and you think, I really can't be bothered with this. I just want the proper league games. But now the way that Scotland are playing, how we're doing, it's not a big deal now. You actually want these Scotland games to come along. And again, we're playing Holland, a really good side. It's not like it's San Marino or a Cyprus. We're playing a decent side. Northern Ireland, again, maybe not a great side, but it's a couple of decent games as well to play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these games, but I will be glad to get the normal football back just because obviously my team's doing quite well this season, unlike Mikey's. Sorry, mate. But yeah, delighted.
And also, Mikey, it would be good to see Scottish games and the 2 games are on free to air TV. We should say it's on Viaplay as well, and it's on BBC. And I think the Ireland game's on BBC Three. Am I right in saying I've not got it in front of me now? But it's good. It's good to see Scotland games on the TV because I can't remember the last Scotland game it's been on outside of the Euros, Mikey. But it's good to see.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a bit of a shame when Scotland are playing and you can't watch them. But yeah, I think it will be a good chance just to watch some football over the next sort of week. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of friendlies. I don't really enjoy watching them hugely, but when it's Scotland, I obviously will. I think the qualifiers are on in next week as well, so I'll be watching them. But yeah, it's good. It's good to see that that everyone can just watch the Scotland games, and yeah, hopefully we can get some decent results.
No, it'll be good to see Wales there as well. Obviously, they've got 2 qualifying games coming up as well. Right, the last round of games tomorrow, Graham, it is Scarcombe with a 3:00 game at Parkhead. Celtic against St Johnson, and Celtic fans will be happy to hear that Carter Vickers is back in the squad. You can say that he's back in the team, actually. Liam Scales is out of the game with an injury, and Callum McGregor is not too far away, and Rio Tati, but we will see them after the international window.
Well, it's good news for them. I mean, having Carter Vickers back is a big thing for Celtic because he is their best defender. There's like no debate about that. And I think they have missed him. I think Scales and Welsh have done okay, but they're not Carter Vickers. One of them alongside Carter Vickers is actually better than basically Scales and Welsh together. So it will be big boost to have those players back. And I think they have Mr. Tati as well. I think he's a cracking player, and obviously McGregor. And obviously the news that Lewis Palmer's out injured as well, which is a big blow for Celtic as well. But I think, to be fair, Kuhn's actually done okay. But I don't think that'll make any difference tomorrow, because I think Celtic will win tomorrow. Now, I said last week on the show that I thought Celtic would win comfortably against Livingston. Now, they did eventually win, but it was a lot closer than I think it anticipated. But tomorrow, I do actually think they will win comfortably. Now, I'm going to regret that. But St Johnstone have won 2 games in the last 10. They're not doing that well under Craig Levein, and I'm sure that obviously Alistair would say the same thing as here. I don't really see St Johnstone winning tomorrow. I think they will be very defensive. They will sit back behind the ball, try and hit in the counter-attack if they can with the pace of Sidibe up front. But I don't see any way that St Johnstone get anything out of this game tomorrow. And if Celtic score early, they'll probably win by 3 or 4. But I think Celtic will get the job done tomorrow, because St Johnstone will be very inconsistent this season. But I don't see anything other than a Celtic win tomorrow.
Mikey, how do you think this game goes? Because the games so far between them this season, it's been 1 each, and it's been I think it was 3-1. No, sorry, and 3-1 up at McDermott Park. But I don't think that's the story of the game reflects in the score, Mikey, because if you remember the game at McDermott Park, Celtic were awful for the first 45 minutes. And also when St Johnstone came to Parkhead early in the season, Stevie May came on about 2 minutes to go or something. I mean, Celtic nearly lost that game as well, because May had a brilliant chance. So it's going to be a tight game tomorrow.
I don't think it'll be a very close game. I think the Celtic will dominate it. Scoreline wise, I don't see it being a runaway Celtic win, because we already know what St Johnstone are going to do. They're going to come in and put 11 men behind the ball. But I could see Celtic having a huge amount of possession, and St Johnstone being very, very, very limited to a couple of chances at most. And yeah, as Graham said, they're not great under Craig Levein. They don't play very nice football at all. So I could see Celtic being much more of the dominant side and probably winning about 2 or 3-0 tomorrow. Just because I think even when Celtic score, St Johnstone won't come out. They'll just try and sit back the whole game. And I think they'll limit it to 3 goals. And Mitov's a good keeper too.
Graham, Brendan Rodgers said today that St Johnstone are a very competitive team, but also competitive, but they'll put 11 men kind of like behind the ball.
Yeah, I mean, we know what Craig Levein's like. I've seen him twice at Hearts, so I know what he's like. To be fair, his first spell was actually decent. He actually did play better football, but his second spell was a bit more rigid and very much defensive minded. And we know what happened with Scotland. Everyone talks about the 4-6-0, which was an absolute disaster, but nearly got a point against Czech Republic, so it nearly did work. But Craig Levein is not an expansive manager. He never has been an expansive manager. He's very defensive. You know what you're going to get, and he does set his teams up very well. Now, St Johnstone have to do that tomorrow. They have to go there tomorrow and not make mistakes, because if they make mistakes, then they'll get hammered. So they have to be very, very solid defensively tomorrow, but they've got to have a threat going forward. It's already been proved that Celtic defence can be got at. We saw Livingston last week do the same. They managed to get 2 goals last week. So they have to carry a threat going forward. But they're going to have to be, Mikey's right, Mitov, if he's on his game, I think he's a brilliant goalkeeper. Really, really impressed with him. If he can have a great game, then maybe they can keep the score down. But Craig Levein is not going to go there with any other intention but to keep men behind the ball. Now, I think St Johnstone will be fine this season. I don't think they'll get relegated. But their season has been very up and down. It's been very flat. I said at the time when Levein came in, I thought it was the right appointment. But he's not got a lot of quality on that side. He really doesn't. I think Stevie May's a good player. Nicky Clark's a decent player. I think the lad Sidibe up front looks all right. Kim Pioka, again's got a bit of pace about him, but they just don't score enough goals. And they really rely, for me, and I don't know if Mikey would agree with us, they rely for me a lot on Graham Carey and his left foot providing something. Without that, they don't have much else.
A couple of comments here. Kelly Boy says Celtic will win 3-1 tomorrow. And Scott on YouTube, thanks for watching, mate. He says, how are you doing? Well, I'm fine, Glenn, fine, but Mikey's a wee bit bored on a Friday. He prefers Monday, actually. But there you go. Mikey, it's going to be quite interesting tomorrow because this is the first time in the title race Celtic's played first because over the past couple of weeks, Celtic's played second when the pressure is on, really to get 3 points. But do you think that and we'll touch upon Rangers in a wee bit, but do you think Celtic will be concentrating in getting the 3 points and maybe getting some goals because, as you know, it's very tight up there and the goal difference is quite tight as well?
Yeah, I think that they'll see it as a bit of an opportunity, Celtic, just to kind of put some pressure on Rangers by going to the top of the league. Do I think they'll score loads and loads of goals? No. I think, as I said, maybe 2 or 3-0. But I don't see a battering. But yeah, I do see it as a big opportunity for Celtic. It can put some pressure on Rangers, as I said. They will be relying on the result on Sunday, and it will be a difficult game for St Johnstone, no doubt. I don't see them getting anything out of the game. I think it'd take a ridiculously good defensive performance, but it is a big opportunity for Celtic, and if they can play at the top of their game, yeah, they will really narrow that goal difference down.
Graham, how big I know that we were talking about this at the top of this the show, but how big a boost is it for Carter Vickers to be back in the squad?
It's massive. He's one of the best defenders in the league. Like, there's no denying that. When he's not playing, it gives other teams a bit of a chance. Because, like I said, I think Scales and Welsh are decent defenders, but they're not the same level as Carter Vickers. He's a leader in that back line. So having him back will be huge, and especially with that, there's big games to come after the international break when they play Rangers, so they need him back for that. But I also think they do need guys like Callum McGregor, who's a leader in that team as well. I think that's what Celtic have lacked a bit recently, is that leadership in there. But Carter Vickers is class. There's no debate in that. So having him back will be huge. Now, who he plays alongside, whether it's Welsh or Scales, at the moment, I'd probably go with Scales. But for me, there is no doubt Carter Vickers is a top-class defender. So having him back will be a big boost to Rodgers.
Obviously, Mikey's talking about St Johnstone. As we say in football terms, and we kept saying on this show when Craig Levein was appointed Graham's best pal, you get a honeymoon period in football. He got a honeymoon period within about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I don't know what happened after that, and then they went out the Scottish Cup as well.
Yeah, that always does seem to happen. New manager bounce, which a lot of people call it. With a team like St Johnstone, who I think have got probably one of the 3 weaker sides in the weaker squads in the league, it's very difficult to put any run together because you're constantly coming up against teams with better quality than you. But yeah, he started well, and I mean that Scottish Cup loss was very poor for them. But I mean, for the quality of the squad, I think Craig Levein's getting a decent amount out of them because he's just doing what a manager probably should do in that situation, trying to just grind out results. But yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult one because I think he'll get them to the end of the season and keep them up, which has to just be their aim. And with the squad they have, can they aim much higher than that this season? I don't think so.
I do wonder, I know we've talked about this before, but I do wonder if, again, maybe this is harsh, but I do wonder if they were a bit too quick to sack Callum Davidson, because he's gone to Queen's Park and he's actually turned them round. They're sitting 6th in the Championship at the moment. He's done a great job there. So I wonder if they kept Callum Davidson, would they be in a better off position just now? I think they might be, because I know that Craig Levein's done a decent job, but like I said, he's won 2 out of the last 10 games. I think Callum Davidson's a good manager. And like I said, given the fact he's managed to get Queen's Park up to 6 when they were struggling, I just wonder if they should have maybe kept Callum Davidson. I think they were a bit hasty in getting rid of him.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think that he did get quite a lot out of the squad for a time. It kind of went a bit sour under him. But yet again, a lot of teams are just sacking managers before they can really do enough. Like, I've seen it so many times with Hibs. You're not letting the managers get the time that they should have, and like a couple of bad results and you're out the door. So I think just the aim for this season was to keep them up. They looked doomed in October time. So all things considered, I don't think Craig Leveing's been too bad. It's just his style of football is really bad, really poor, and if he keeps the team up, then I guess you just have to kind of deal with it.
Do you think as well when we talk about Callum Davison, Mikey, that we forget that he's the now I may look this one up, but he's the only team only manager out with the big two in Glasgow. It's won a double in the same season. And then,
Yeah, I think that was a. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, and he's still number one manager of the year.
Yeah, I think that achievement's hugely overlooked. Obviously he beat Hibs in both of them, which was pretty disappointing. But yeah, he did a good job for them, and I think leaving when he did, it kind of seemed like the right appointment at the time, or the right move at the time. But looking back at it now, in hindsight, are they in a better position? I don't think they are. So I would say that maybe getting rid of him at that time, in retrospect, was a bad idea. But I think just the situation they're in, they just need to stay up this season, and then they can kind of build on it. But I don't think Craig Levein's in long term.
Graham, were you wanting to come in there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would love to ask Alistair if he was on the show, or any St Johnstone fans watching this, although there might be two of them. Sorry, Alistair, if you're watching. But I would love to generally know what St Johnstone fans' expectation is, because you've got a guy there in Callum Davidson that's won 2 cups, the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. He's got the club into European football. Generally, what more can he do? Generally, what more could he do? And then he gets sacked. I know that they weren't a great run, but just look at Motherwell, for example. They went 15 games without a win, but they stuck by Stuart Kirtwell. Callum Davis went a few games without a win and they sacked him. What is the expectation level of St Johnstone? Because they're not going to be a top 6 club. They're probably not going to be a relegation club. So what is the expectation at St Johnstone? Because I genuinely think had they kept Callum Davison, they'd be in a better position than they are now. I honestly believe that.
Kelly Boy on YouTube was saying that Callum Davison was good for getting the best out of the players. I would agree with that. And also, he said, my pal is a St Johnstone fan, and they watches me goes to the, as usual. I don't.
Oops, I've just upset the St Johnstone fans by saying that true comment.
Well, Mikey, I know that we'll get back on to talk about the game in a minute, but you make an interesting point about managers, and I would say this kind of associates with Callum Davison as well. Do you think that's why there's no any consistency in teams, because they keep sacking their managers every 4 weeks?
Yeah, definitely, because you're bringing in players that are from 3 managers ago, and you're trying to blend them together with a completely different playing style. I don't know how they're expected to go and win every game if they've got a completely different squad. I think that at least give them 4 or 5 transfer windows, because that's kind of enough time where you can shift players out and bring some in. Obviously, for the smaller clubs, it might be a little bit more. For your Celtic and Rangers, a couple less. But again, how are you meant to do enough with a squad if it's not yours? And that's what I've seen Hibs fans saying, with Nick Montgomery. We've got quite a lot of players in, which is obviously fair play. We have decent pull power. But teams like St Johnstone, teams like Dundee, Livingston, they're not going to be able to attract all these new players instantly. So you need to give the manager time to let them settle in. And you can't just be sacking managers before they have a chance with anything.
Graham, going back to the game tomorrow, do you think that international break has came at a good time for Celtic in terms of getting McGregor back? Brendan Rodgers was saying that he's back training now, but it's too soon to bring him into the squad. And also, do you think it's important for them to have a wee could get them back up to speed, because after the break, they've got Mikey's second team, Livingston, and then they go to Ibrox.
Yeah, big games to come. Really big games to come. And I think Celtic getting these players back at the right time is going to be a big thing for them, especially that Rangers game. I think they'll beat St Livingston quite comfortably, but they will need these players back for that Rangers game, because that's going to be huge. But again, we talk about the fact that everyone thinks it's all going to come down to these Celtic Rangers games, but we've already seen Hearts have beaten Celtic, Motherwell have beaten Rangers, so maybe it won't actually come down to these games against Celtic and Rangers. Other teams could take points off these two teams, so it's going to be interesting. And I've already said that I think this is going to go the last day. I genuinely think it could be Helicopter Sunday again, but it's an intriguing title race. But they do need to get these players back soon. Kelly Boy, I'm just going to call him Ross because I know that's his name. So his St Johnstone mate says his expectation is to survive, but he wants Craig gone at the end of the season. He thinks why let Callum Davidson go? He's Perth born and bred, which I completely agree with. I thought it was pointless. Happy House, good to see you on. Callum Davidson signed too many duds. That was his downfall. I mean, every team does that. But I just think the way that Callum Davidson was playing, he was actually playing better football. And we keep going back to the fact he won 2 cups, which other teams in Scotland can't do. He won both cups, which is unheard of outside Celtic and Rangers. I think he deserved more time, and I think he'd have turned it around. But managers do get sacked quite quickly. And I've been on record as saying that I wanted Stephen Naismith gone ages ago. But again, I was too quick because he's turned it around. But you kind of get that feeling though, like every fan does it. If you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, you think he's got to go. But then I keep going back to the fact, look at Motherwell. They could have sacked Stuart Kettle. They didn't do it. And he's managed to turn it around. So maybe managers do need more time. And fans like me and that need to get behind the manager rather than going, they need to get sacked. But I just think losing Callum Davidson now, who's done a really good job at Queen's Park, I just think they should have kept him.
And don't forget, Mikey, because they won the double, he got them into Europe and he was beating Galatasaray 1-0. Nobody was expecting that. People thought Galatasaray would run over the top of them, and that's what they did, to be honest. But at least he got them into Europe. I mean, you tell me what else that Johnson manager has got the team into Europe.
I know, and I would actually like to add on to that point, just because, I think that cup double really gave some unrealistic expectations. I've said this before, ambition does come at a cost. So the more that you, the more success you have, the more expectation there is. And for a team like St Johnstone, who's not going to keep up with that on this every season, they need to sometimes just think, if you keep them up for the season, realistically, it's not a disaster. Under Craig Levine, they're not exactly playing very nice football. They're not doing amazing. But if they stay up, then it's an all right season. And for that European season, that was definitely sort of a standout. It was more of a kind of, not a lucky season, but one of those seasons where everything kind of went right for them. And they kind of, sometimes it's hard to readapt to being what club they are. They're a bottom half, kind of 7th to 10th level club, I think. So I think expecting the manager to get them into Europe in the top half every season can be quite unrealistic.
You also look at and I said this to Alison when I was on the show as well, you look at that crowd they got at that Cartasta game at McDermott Park. That's probably the most there's been at McDermott Park for a St Johnstone game for a long time. Where are those fans now? That was a big moment for them. Playing European football against Galatasaray, it was brilliant that day. Honestly, that night, I loved watching that. St Johnstone were brilliant that night. And it was a great crowd. But then that's dwindled away. They need to get those fans back. Now, I don't know what to do to get that, but they've got to get that fan base back because they were there and they dwindled away.
Yeah, sorry, Mikey.
Yeah, a lot of that comes from just the success of it. They might not necessarily be St Johnstone fans. They might have just thought, there's a European game going on. It's my local team. I'll just come down and watch them. Are they going to go down and watch St Johnstone versus Dundee with Craig Levine in charge? Probably not. So I think there's those nights where they get that atmosphere and they get all the people, and they need to try and find ways to do that. But from what I've heard from Alistair, they're trying that and it's just not working. But I think they need to try and get some more fans in, because it lies 3/4 empty most weeks. So they do need to try and sort that out. but there's other things involved with it as well. So I think it's quite a difficult one for them. But all I would say is they can't be expecting to have a cup double in European football every season.
And if St Mirren, if St Johnson ground scarf is watching, could they fix that park? Maybe that's part of the reason why your team's not playing well. Couple of comments here. Kelly Boy on YouTube. Been a busy boy tonight, so you have. Callum Cook gets St Johnson 7th or 8th, or maybe top 6. And in fact, maybe you say first place as well. You know, you've covered every bases there, so well done. Happy House says he won the double with Tommy Wright's signings. Yeah, but the point is there, he still won the double. It doesn't matter if it was Adam, no matter what team it was, he still won the double. Good evening to Gregor on YouTube. He said good evening, lads. Big game for you guys the weekend. I'll be interested to hear your comments about Dundee and Rangers. We'll be talking about that soon. So that's Celtic and St Johnson tomorrow at Parkhead. 3 o'clock kickoff. Right, let's go on to the Hibs Livingston game, the Mikey Derby, I would say. And the big question is, what end will Mikey be sitting in?
I will be in the Hibs end because I am a Hibs fan. Livy are my local team, and I go down to some of their games, but I'm a Hibs fan first and foremost. So yeah.
And that's the thing, Liam, right? But in fact, you've just brought up Lumsden Mike again. I know, like you were saying about St Johnson, and people would come out to support them against Castle, and that's right, Glenn. Because I mean, we've been saying on the show for many a year, like, yeah, I mean, even you said that, like, supporters buses leave from Pennycook or whatever Inverness to go and watch Celtic and Rangers, but if supporters goes to St Johnson every week, I basically call them one-hit wonders. They come out when it's a big European night, or if it's a cup final or whatever. And that's the thing, because see, if you get full house, you might get better players in at your club. I'm not saying that the squad they've got them out is very poor, but clubs always go on about, oh, we've got no money. Well, you've not got a fan base, so that's why you've not got any money.
Yeah, and I mean, that happens a lot of places. Livingston, St Johnstone, there's a lot of these places that don't have a big fan base. And it is a shame, because these are really good clubs. You know, they are really good clubs. Livingston have been around for a long, long time, and they are a good club. You know, I think David Martindale's done a fantastic job there. I know that it comes out of the budget every single week, but I think the job he's done has been very good. You know, and he does say every season it's about staying up. And mainly, they have. Now, this looks like the first season is actually going to go down, but they just cannot get that fan base. And you see numerous buses leaving Livingston that go to Celtic Park or Ibrox. And it is a shame, because there's a really good ground there at the Tony Macaroni. It's a really good ground. I've been there a few times. And it is a shame that they do not get that fan base. And I just wish they had a bit more of a crowd there, because, again, a bit like McDermott Park, it does stay empty for a long time. And it's a shame, because they are really good clubs. Good evening to Ross's pal Scott, who apparently has been to every home and away game, and he's not missed a game since 2014, apart from the COVID season. So fair play, Scott. That's impressive. But yeah, it is a real shame, because Livingston just do not have that fan base, and it is a shame.
I think the only thing I would say about St Johnstone before we move on is that it's a shame they won the double and nobody was there to see it. Because it was the COVID year. Right, so Hibs against Livingston, Mikey. What do you think of this game?
Well, I have seen both sides play quite a few times this season, obviously, being a Hibs season ticket holder. And I fully expect Livingston to be probably 1-0 up at half time, because Hibs are terrible in the first half and Livy are normally pretty good in the first half. So I think Hibs will win 2-1. I'll just put that out straight away. But I think Livy will be the better team from the start. Teddy Yenge will cause us big problems because our defence is very poor. And yeah, we'll be relying on the likes of Nizian and maybe Eliuan off the bench again. But we've obviously got a couple of players out. Martin Boyle being the standout one, even though he's not been great this season. But yeah, but I think Hibs will just win. I think it'll be very close. But obviously, Livy are missing players too. Penrice, Pittman, they're both out. They're big players for Livy, and Livy's defence is terrible. So I think it's two very bad defences coming up against each other. I wouldn't be surprised if there's lots of goals, but I'm going 2-1 Hibs.
Graham, decent points for Hibs during the week. Do you think they'll be still on the high after that?
No, because they were 2-1 up and they lost that 98th minute goal to.
Oh no, sorry, I was Ross County. Yeah, whoa, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a busy week.
I mean, just rub Mikey's nose in it. It's fine because I'm loving it, to be honest. But yeah, sorry, Mikey. I can see you. You're raging there. I can see it on your face. You're raging.
Come
but
on,
yeah,
Mikey.
The fact
I
it was.
thought you were mocking me there. Good point away at Ross County.
I know. I
Mate,
don't
to
know
be
what
honest,
I
I'll
was
take a point
saying.
now tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, Hibs were 2-1 up, and I thought they were going to win it. And I know that Nick Montgomery wasn't happy about the way they lost the goal because he talked about the fact that it should have been Hibs throwing, which I get, but you've still got to defend it better. And Mikey knows that as well. You've got to defend that better. But I don't think Hibs will lose tomorrow. I think they'll win that game tomorrow. Livingston, I mean, they're such a poor side this season. They are so poor. They do have players in that team that I think could cause Hibs problems. I think Tete Yengi up front has been very impressive. I'm a big fan of him. I think Mike has actually mentioned there, James Penrice is a really good player as well. So they do have players there that can cause problems. I still don't understand why they played Joe Newbley at wing back. I don't get that at all. But I think Hibs should have more than enough to win that game tomorrow at home. Again, Mikey knows this because I've told him before. I think the lad in Maluda up front looks a really, really cracking prospect. So I think Hibs should have more than enough to win this game. But as Mikey says, the way Hibs play, you just expect now Livingston to go there and get something, but I don't see it. I think Hibs will win.
Can I also just say that Livy's best player in the last few months, Dan Mackay, he will be in the team because he's on loan from him. So that's another big loss for Livy. I think it'll probably be quite an end-to-end game, actually. I think it'll be quite a decent game. Hibs, yet again, will try and control the ball. The fans will get frustrated, as they always do. And it'll be a tough game for us, but I think we'll just get over the line in the end.
Do you ever feel as though you're a bit that size, Glenn, when you say something and you're like, why did I say that for? Are we live? Yeah, okay. We can't go back. Turn back time, as I say. That's another song Mike might not remember. Oh, I can't. I forget we're getting older, Grim. Well, you are. I'm okay. I'm just a spring chicken. Maybe it gets a chicken sometimes, but anyway, let's not go there. Brian Rice was speaking to the media yesterday, and he says that we've got to take heart for the performance at Celtic Park last week, even though they get beat. But nobody was expecting Livingston to go there to score 2 goals.
No, they were a lot better than I thought they would be. I thought they were getting hammered last week, and especially after Maeda gets the opening goal quite early, and you're thinking this now could be a cricket score. But fair play to Livingston, they went and had an actual goal. And I suppose there was no pressure on them. It's a Scottish Cup game, they're not expected to win. You may as well go and have a go. And they did that, and they scored 2 cracking goals. Dan Mackay's finish was brilliant. Tete Yengi's goal was outstanding. So they have shown that there is something in that team that they have got, but they've got to be more consistent in that. They're sitting 7 points behind Ross County today. They have to start picking up points. And I suppose after the split, it will help. They're playing teams around them. But I just don't think they're picking up enough points. They're not consistent enough. So I do think they will go down this season. We've said that for weeks. But they do have to take positives last week, because I genuinely thought they were very good last week. But yet again, they are let down defensively. The goals they lose last week, and let's be honest, Michael Nottingham was at fault for pretty much all of those goals. Such a poor defender. So they have to be better defensively. But they do have threat going forward, but defensively they are dreadful. And that's why they're going down.
Mikey, Nick Montgomery was talking on Hibs TV. I don't know if you saw it. He says the game will be a physical battle, but one we are looking forward to, and hopefully we'll win, and it will be a full house.
Yes, I think he's pretty much got it spot on. It will not be a full house because it will probably be half empty. Our attendances this season have been so poor, but yeah, I think that it will be a physical game. They'll try and match us, beat us on the physical aspect, if not the let me say like the sort of technical aspect of the game. But I think that yet again, Hibs always seem to make hard work out of every game they play, and against players like Stephen Kelly, potentially the likes of Tete Yenge, even Joe Nubley has some technical ability in him. There's different challenges within that Livy team, but the way that we can beat them is through their shambles of a defence. Io Obolai, Michael Nottingham, Mikey Devlin, they are all terrible. I know Mikey Devlin's out injured, but Livy's defence this season is what's going to send them down, because they've had players like Nicky Devlin, Craig Halkett in the past, and now that they've got nothing in defence. Sean Kelly is more of a defensive midfielder now. He's played as centre back. Mo Sangari, he's an all right player, but again, he's not good enough on his own. And it's these key players for Livy that are on the team every week. They keep letting them down. So as a Hibs fan, we need to exploit their defence. But I think there will be a very frustrating afternoon, and I expect the Hibs fans to get on the team's back, as we always seem to do now.
Mikey, would you? I think I've asked you this before on like different shows that we do together, but would you be tempted to bring Walcott in for David Marshall? Because again, he was at fault for a goal on Tuesday, and he's not been having a great season. Would you be tempted to bring Walcott in, or would you still stick with David Marshall?
The thing is, like, if Walcott hadn't been given a chance at all, then yes. But in the few games he's played, he hasn't been great for me. Ross County, the 2-2 game, he was shaky. And I would bring him in because I think David Marshall is a little bit past it now. I do like him, and I think that he can come up with these big saves. We've seen it at Kelly at home. But there's these games where he's just so slow to everything. And I'd give Walcott a chance, but I don't have much faith in him either. I think we need to go in and bring in a goalkeeper because Boris isn't ready to be in the team all the time. So I think we need to get another first team keeper in. But I would give Walcott another chance because he hasn't had many opportunities.
Mike, I know that we spoke last week in the show after the game, and that's the last time I'm going to say that, by the way, because it's a bit unfair picking the new boy and all that. And I suppose that we spoke about unfair Callum Davison getting the sack with St Johnstone. But if you take Hibs into isolation, they keep appointing the managers and the team's not doing it on the park. So do you think it's the signing policy at Hibs?
I don't know. It's a really difficult one because we had that really good season under Jack Ross, where we were third place and we were one of the best teams in the country. And then the next season we had another typical start to the season for Hibs, where we were kind of mid-table. We sacked Jack Ross, brought in Sean Maloney, who it wasn't his team at all. So it was a bit of a strange one. And then since then, Lee Johnson, he was okay last season. This start of the season, poor. And then under Nick Montgomery, it's not his team, and he started getting performances out of the players. But yet again, it's another manager we keep bringing in. We're bringing in one or two every season now. So I don't know how we can be expected to challenge these teams up at the top when we keep changing every 5 minutes. And for a team like Hibs, we have the money to try and bring in players. But the problem is, when you have that money, you are bringing in players. So we've still got loads of players from the previous eras, which just aren't the players that Nick Montgomery wants. So I think he should get some more time. And I do like what he does. I think that he's trying to play his own style of football, which is good. And the only problem is the Hibs fans don't like it because they get frustrated after 5 minutes when we've not scored.
I think for me, as obviously an outsider, as a Hearts fan, and obviously I'm biased, but I'm trying not to be. I think you can see at times what Montgomery's trying to do. He's trying to play decent football, get the ball on the ground. He's trying. One thing I've noticed is he's trying to playing it from the back. Now, no disrespect, but playing it from the back when you've got guys like Rocky Bashiri is never a good idea. But he's had one transfer window. Now, he also get money coming from Bill Foley. We don't know how much that's going to be, but he's going to need it probably at least to 2 or 3 transfer windows to actually get the squad that he wants. So he will get time. There's no doubt about that. But he is going to have to figure out what he needs come the summer, because they have to be up there next season. This season's not been good enough. We know that. I do think they'll finish in the top 6. But next season they've got to be better, because they're miles behind Hearts. Now, I do believe that Hibs next season will bring in some decent players if, and it's a big if. Now, I know you said before, Mike, about Melida. He's going to cost a lot of money. But if Hibs could actually keep him permanently, that'd be a massive bonus, because I think he's been excellent this season, really impressive. But he's going to need at least 2 or 3 transfer windows to get the squad that he wants. There's players in that squad that he's probably thinking, nah, I can't really work with this squad. So he will need time. And Hibs fans are going to have to be patient. And listen, we're all football fans. We're not patient fans. We know that. But people have to be patient, because I can see what he's trying to do, but he just doesn't yet have the squad to do it the way he wants to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, because I think this whole playing out from the back thing, it works to an extent, but not when you've got players in there who can't play out from the back. We've got the likes of Rocky Bashiri, who can pass a football, but he's not exactly what you want as a ball-playing centre-back. I think we need to try and, obviously, with Nick Montgomery, the way that he plays, he'll be looking for players to fit that system. And I think he's playing the right kind of way that you'd want for Scottish football, because you've got all these teams that will just sit deep and try and defend. If we can try and get the ball passing about and moving them across, that does give us an advantage in the game. But at this time, I think everyone knows that we don't have the squad to do that. And he's kind of placing the building blocks there. But when you're playing up against teams like Ross County, and we're not really used to that system, and it's kind of not working, the fans get on our team, get on the team's back, and that doesn't help one bit.
Graham, Brian Rice was speaking to the media yesterday. He said we need to go there and put up a good fight, because Hibs are a very good team. And that's the thing, because they know that, all in all, 9 games left now, but the games are running out.
They are. They've got to start picking up points really soon. They've got to start picking up 3 points tomorrow. I don't think they'll get them. I think most folk, even Livy fans now that I talk to, know that they're down. They're going to have to pick up points eventually. If they could win tomorrow, it'll be a massive boost for them. But I don't think they will. But like I said, they can take positives last week against Celtic, because I did actually think they actually played well last week. But they were just defensively so poor. But they do have a threat going forward. I've said it before, I think Tete Yang has been really impressive. And when he first came, nobody knew much about him. He looks like a basketball player because he's massive. But honestly, he's got really good technical ability. He's a decent goal scorer. That goal last week against Celtic, he made out of nothing. It's brilliant play, and it's a great finish. So they do have a threat there. But they've got to go Easter Road tomorrow and get 3 points, because if they don't get 3 points tomorrow, they are basically down with the games running out. But I don't see anything other than Hibs win tomorrow. Like I said, it's going to be very difficult. I think Livingston will probably do what St Johnstone are going to do at Celtic Park and sit deep. But I think Hibs will be patient tomorrow and they'll get the job done. They're obviously missing Martin Boyle, who's going to be a big blow. But they've got more than enough players on that team that can win that game. Adam Lafondra came off the bench and scored on Tuesday night. So they do have enough quality. And I do think Hibs will win tomorrow by 2 or 3, I think.
You know, sometimes, Mikey, when you say, oh, I don't want to pick a fight with that guy. But I was at Celtic Park last week, and when the Livingston players came on, I mean, I thought they were bringing on about 6 or 7 different players. I was like that. And they all kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I was like a wave machine. They just kept coming, and I was like, oh, no, I wouldn't want to pick a fight with they guys. And so it's interesting because they're a big team, Livingston, but, you know, bottom of the league.
Yeah, I think the thing that surprises me more is they don't score many set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've even scored from one this season. And the problem is, from what I've seen, people like Michael Nottingham and Ayo Obolai, they win headers, but not when they're under pressure. It's a weird one because when the ball gets swung into the box, they will head the ball out. But against Dundee and other Livy games I've been to this season, as soon as there's a bit of pressure on either of them, they miss the ball, they make mistakes, and it's just, if we can put pressure on them, I can expect us to get some goals off the back of it. The only problem is Livy will come in and they'll try, and I actually think they'll try and match us at the start of the game, because we are definitely vulnerable in the first half. We've been so poor in first halves this season. Apart from Tynecastle, I think that was the only good first half we've had in the last few months. But yeah, I think Livy could take this as an opportunity. And if they get into half time 1 or 2-0 up, then they can just sit back and maybe even get a result. So it's going to be a difficult one for Livy, because obviously they're down the bottom of the league. But there's been many games this season where it could have gone the other way. Obviously, Killie at home, they missed the penalty at the end. The Dundee game was just terrible for them. So many mistakes. And it really depends what Livy team turns up, because if it's the one that travelled to Motherwell and got beat 3-1, we could be beating them 4 or 5-0. But I think they'll probably come with a better performance than that. And I can't forget, they literally beat us at the start of the season at Easter Road. So it's not a formality that Hibs win this, but I think we should. It just depends whether the team shows up.
I think I'm right on this, but I've never actually heard this before, but I think I heard last week on the radio when I turned it on at half-time that David Martindale and none of the coaches were in the dressing room at half-time. Now, apparently that's a regular thing, which I don't understand. Why would your coaching staff not be in there at half-time? I don't get that.
Well, they do. What happened was at Celtic Park, they went in briefly, just told them what to do, and then they gave them time to recover and then come back out. I'm not sure why they do it, but I did hear David Martindale's interview when he was talking about going into the dressing room at half time. So I assume he was just in for a minute. But it is a bit of a weird one. But I think he's been doing it for a while now, like a couple of seasons. So if it works for him, then fair enough. But I've never personally seen it. I just heard it on the radio, as you said, and then I saw his interview after the game.
Obviously, it's not working because at the bottom of the league as well. So that's Livingston against Hibs against Livingston. Let's go on to the other side of Edinburgh and let's talk about Graham's team, Hearts. They're away to Ross County tomorrow.
6-0 Hearts. Final score.
At half time.
Nah, I'm joking. I'm expecting a tough game tomorrow. We've already seen what Ross County did against Hibs. Although Hibs, I think, should have won that game, of course. But it's a tough game. You know, Hearts are on a great run just now. Only lost one game recently, and that was against Rangers at Ibrox, which is a poor game. But yeah, this is a game that I'm expecting to be tough. I gave my prediction this afternoon as 1-0 to Hearts with Shankland to score, because I'm expecting a tough game here. Ross County, again, like Livingston, are battling for their survival. They'll be up for this. And obviously, Don Cowie is an ex-Hearts player, so he'll be up for this. So I'm expecting a tough game. But with the quality Hearts have got, and now we're in the semi-final after that game on Monday night, I'm expecting Hearts to get through this, but I'm not expecting an easy game at all. I think they make it difficult. Jordan White, for some strange reason, has got a decent record at scoring against Hearts. Eamon Brophy always causes us problems. And of course, we've got the added thing that Jan Danda is coming to Hearts in the summer, and he's playing against Hearts tomorrow. So hopefully he downs tools and thinks, nah, I've done my job against Hibs. I'm happy with that. But I'm expecting a tough game. Really tough game. But I am going for a 1-0 Hearts win, but this will be tough.
That's the thing, Mikey, when somebody signs a pre-contract deal. By the way, I don't like that kind of pre-contract deal as well. I think they should get scrap it, but anyway, that's for another show for another week. But I mean, it's interesting because what if he scores the winning goal tomorrow? Say, I know Graham will hate me now.
It'll be a good one. It will be. I think it's always a strange moment when you see these pre-contracts, because I kind of agree with you on that one, where I'm not a huge fan of it. I see why it is, because it stops other teams from poaching them. But, like, I mean, I don't really see a massive point in having them, because it's just a game that they're going to be playing against someone that they know they're going to be joining. So, I mean, I'm definitely expecting a Jan Danda last-minute winner again for tomorrow. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one with the pre-contracts, especially when they're in the same league and they're going to be playing each other.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the season, Grim, about Gary Caldwell signing for Celtic. He signed a pre-contract deal, and every time he got the ball, his fans were booing. And if I think the Celtic fans were booing when he signed for Celtic, but anyway, that's another story for another day. But it's a kind of weird, setup, that, Graham.
It is, but all you've got to do is Lawrence Shanklin gets in his ear before the game and says, "Mate, you're coming to Hearts in the summer. Just you have an off day today, pal. You just didn't get involved. That's all I want." But honestly, if he does score, he'll not celebrate like he did against Hibs on Tuesday. No chance. He's already a Hearts hero. He's not even come yet. Delighted with that. But yeah, I don't get the pre-contract thing. I think it's a waste of time for me. Just wait till after the season and then sign the contract. I don't get why they've done it now. It just puts added pressure onto Jan Dander. Because you know what will happen? If Dander doesn't show up tomorrow, it'll be all about, but he's going to Hearts, he doesn't care, which calls a player's integrity into question, which I don't agree with. Everyone has off days, but when you know that player is going to sign for a certain club come the summer, then questions will be asked. So I don't think it's great timing for me.
Naismith was talking to the media, Grim. He says, I think Don Curry was right after the game and saying it could end up being a point for County. He must have been talking about Wednesday night's game, I'm not sure. But he says the team's working for the manager, going all the way up there to the 98th minute, so we know it's going to be a cricket game. And that's the thing, Mikey, hate to pick on you again, but you went up on Wednesday night, you found it a very difficult game. Celtic or Rangers or whoever goes up there always finds it a difficult game. Do you think it's because it's a tight park they've got up there?
I think some of it is obviously the travel. It's such a long away day for the team and the fans as well. But yeah, I think it's just a lot of it's just tactics again. I think with the St Johnstone thing, you're not going to be able to, as a Ross County manager, you're not going to have the same quality squad as a Hearts, a Celtic, a Rangers, and like sometimes you just need to do that. Where you just need to sit back and make it difficult, and you're not going to be able to go toe to toe with these teams. And I think that's why, like the bigger away teams find it difficult because they just sit back, and that's all they really can do because they don't have the same resources. So the only way you're going to pick up a win or pick up points is just by sitting back and getting a goal in the counter attack.
Yeah, Graham, do you think it'll be a different game tomorrow? Do you think Naismith will play different tactics? Because as last week's game against Morton, okay, it was a cup final in itself, if you know what I mean, to get to the semi-final, but you're also playing against a championship game that was up for the game, but a very tight park down at Capitol, and it'll be the same tomorrow.
Yeah, and I was impressed by Morton. I thought they were very good, especially the second half. Like I said earlier, Craig Gordon has made 2 or 3 really big saves, but that's what he does. But I'm expecting the same tomorrow. Like I said, Ross County are battling for the survival. They'll be up for this tomorrow. They got that point on Tuesday night, but we should have enough quality on that side to get through this game. I think we'll probably play a 3-5-2 again, like we have recently, which I'm not a massive fan of, but it is working just now. And obviously, we've got the best striker in Scotland just now with Shankland up top, who's capable of scoring if he gets a chance. I'm delighted with the fact that, Kenny Vargas, our Costa Rican, has been included in the Costa Rican squad, the big national side for their friendly against Argentina. Delighted with that. Really pleased for him. He's got 7 goals this season, so he's in good form. Obviously got the goal on Monday. But, I mean, the thing is, I don't want to lose any game. Of course I don't. But we're in such a position just now that even if we get beat, it's not going to make a massive difference because we're 13 points ahead. And tomorrow, St Mirren play Kilmarnock. So one of them is going to drop points, or maybe even both of us a draw, hopefully. So we're in a position we can actually afford to drop points. Not that I want to, but we can afford to drop points still in a very good position. So that just goes to show the job that Stephen Naismith has done. And actually, if we win tomorrow, it would end up being our 10th league away win of the season, which is a record for us recently. So the job that Naismith has done has been absolutely incredible. It really has been. And I said at the time, when we lost to Aberdeen in early December, I looked at the fixtures and I thought, I'm worried here. Because we had Celtic, St Mirren, Hibs in that run, and I thought, I can't see us picking up any points here. And we've only lost one game since then, and that was Rangers at Ibrox. And we're in a semi-final. So the job he's done has been incredible. But actually, it's funny because Mikey mentioned something about Hibs that I've noticed about Hearts more than once this season. We really do start games far too slow. Same again on Monday as well. Our first halves are really poor, and I don't know why that is. We tend to turn it around second half, although not at Ibrox. But that's the one thing that I think Naismith has to try and sort out is that form in the first half, because it's not great, but he does turn it around. Hopefully tomorrow we get the win, but I'm expecting a tough game tomorrow because County are needing the 3 points more than we are. So yeah, I'm expecting a tough game, but hopefully we can get the job done.
Mikey, I know I was speaking about Celtic and saying that maybe the international break has come at a good time so that they can get McGregor back and Real Catty back. But as for Ross County, if you were a Ross County fan, would you not prefer to play next weekend because it's coming to like what you would say the business end of the season?
Yes, I think that it's a bit of a weird one because I don't think County are really making any major players, and the last few games have been much better. So I think this is one of the only sides that's not really benefiting from this break. I think they would have probably just preferred to get through to the split now and just finish the season on this kind of run that they're on. Maybe not results-wise, but performance-wise they've been better. So does this disrupt? Does it give them time to kind of group and get some things sorted out? We'll have to wait and see. But if I was a Ross County fan, I'd probably prefer just to kind of wait until maybe just until the split, because I think they just want to get into a certain bit of the season, and the run that they're on's not even too bad at the moment. So I think they maybe would have wanted to just keep going and just get it over with and make sure that they're doing okay. But on the other hand, they could spend this time wisely. And the thing with teams like Ross County is not many of their players are away on international duty, if any. So they've got a full squad there that they can work with. Teams like Celtic and Rangers, half their squad will be away out on international duty. So that does give them an advantage in a sense. But no, I'd rather just kind of get through to the end of the season.
Grim?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with County is if they win tomorrow and if Aberdeen losing is Motherwell, Ross County go level with Aberdeen. They can put Aberdeen in serious trouble going into this international break. So it's a really big game for Ross County tomorrow. I think there's every chance that Aberdeen could drop points against Motherwell. So this is a big game for Ross County tomorrow. I don't want Hearts to lose any game, but if Ross County were to win tomorrow, it really would put Aberdeen in serious trouble. But I just think the way that Ross County are playing, I actually think they look a bit better under Don Cowie. I mean, they couldn't be any worse than Derek Adams, could they? Because they were dreadful under him. But I think I like the way Don Cowie comes across with his press conferences and stuff. He's a lot better than Derek Adams was, but that wouldn't be hard. But this is just such a big game for them tomorrow. They really have to start picking up 3 points soon. When they went 1-0 up against Hibs, you're thinking, they've got a chance here. And I suppose to get a point the way they did it in the last minute is great, but they've got to start picking up 3 points soon because they are in that kind of position that, they are looking like they're going to finish in that playoff place. And I don't think Aberdeen will go down. I think Ross County will be in there. But it's such a big game for them tomorrow. I think they have to get 3 points tomorrow. They really do.
Mikey, Derek Adams is out of a job. But I don't know if you know that Glasgow has got the Glasgow International Comedy Festival at the moment. And I've just saw that Derek Adams has got a gig on tonight in the phone box in Easter House. So if you want to go there, tickets are on sale right now. And if you believe that, you believe in Santa. I believe in Santa, but anyway, I'm a 40-year-old guy. I've got to believe in something. So let's move on to talk about the next game tomorrow. Graham was talking about Aberdeen. We'll get on to them very quick shortly. First of all, this is I don't know about you, Graham, but this is the game of the day for me tomorrow. Kilmarnock against St Mirren.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really tough game to call. I mean, I generally couldn't call this at all. They both had very good seasons. I think at the moment it's a point between them. St Mirren on 42 points, Killie on 41. Such a tough game to call. I mean, you'd expect on Rugby Park, come on, it probably would maybe win that game. But they have to bounce back after that Scottish Cup defeat against Aberdeen, which is one of the worst performances of the season. And given how well they've played this season, that was a bit of a surprise last week. But they've got to bounce back from that. And I probably think they will. They've got a very good squad there. But St Mirren, again, have had such a great season so far. I think Robertson's done a great job. But I think you're right. This is probably one of the games of the day, and it's such a tough game to call. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope it does. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game finishes a draw, because I honestly can't call this because they both had great seasons. It's so hard to call.
Mikey, Derek McInnes was saying that he was disappointed about last week, but now we need to focus on this weekend's game. We're up against a very good team who did really well, who is doing really well, under Stephen Robertson, and did a good job, and he deserves all the credit that he gets. It'll be interesting how Derek McInnes' blue and white army, as I say, bounces back tomorrow after that shock defeat to Aberdeen last week in the Cup.
Yeah, I think so. I think, as you said, I think this is the game of the weekend for me. Just simply based on importance for the table. Obviously, the Old Firm teams for the title, but I think the flat out two teams going to each other. I do think Killie will just come out on top. I think that with the park is their advantage, and I think St Mirren, they benefited a little bit from their really good start. Obviously, they've had a decent season anyway, but they were up in second for a while, so that's kind of really pushed them up the table a bit. So I do expect Killie just to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a very. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw, but I think it'll be a very competitive game. The problem for St Mirren is, and the problem I guess for Killie as well, is they don't have that goal scorer that a Hearts has or an Aberdeen even has. So the rest of their teams very good. But for St Mirren, their top goal scorer is Mandron with 6, and Watkins with 6 for Killie. So it's not exactly like they're really relying on anyone for goals. So I think it's two very well-rounded teams playing each other. So I think Killie might just come out on top 1-0, but I think the squads are very evenly matched.
Kelly Boy was saying on YouTube, I know why you're going to the hospitality, by the way, because the curry pies are brilliant. Did we say that if you're watching the show, you need to send us some presents as well? Because this is a 2-hour show, right? So we need to eat and we need to keep the appetite up. So if you get any free pies, email us as well, right? And I've never had an email pie before, but there you go. It says I'm going to hospitality tomorrow to the Kilmarnock game, and he says it'll be 3-1 to Kilmarnock, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And it did say that obviously Kennedy and Mayo are out, but I do think Kilmarnock have got a very good squad there. And I wouldn't be surprised on that pitch if Kilmarnock actually do win, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. I've genuinely been impressed by both teams this season. I think they've been fantastic. I mean, Kilmarnock in Europe, could that happen? Potentially it could. And it just goes to show the job that Derek McInnes has done. You know, I think we talked about this ages ago about were they too quick to give McInnes that long-term contract?
Yeah.
Well, clearly not. He's done a fantastic job. But then so Stephen Robertson. You know, I think at the start of the season, if you look to that top 6, I don't think you'd have had St Mirren and Kilmarnock in there. You'd have had Aberdeen and Hibs in there, and it's not been that way. So fair play to both teams. I honestly think they've been fantastic this season. Ross has said, I'll send Graham the pies. I mean, before we came on air, for guys that can't see this, before we came on air, right, Mikey was munching a pizza. Mikey was munching a pizza with Doritos on it, which is just weird. I've never seen that before. Never seen that before.
By the way, that's nice. But anyway, no, I mean the game and the pizza, Mikey.
You weren't meant to tell anyone about
that. Oh no, yeah. You get outed for that bit.
It's too late, Mikey. Did we not tell you on the show that we embarrass you, no? Okay, because I used to do it to Graham. That's why I had a black eye. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting how Curry's going to bounce back after that defeat to Aberdeen. But do you think it's because Kilmarnock will have home advantage tomorrow? Will that play a part as well?
Yes, I think that Kelly used the part to advantage very well, and it's it's one of those games where it could really just come down to the smallest thing, and if that's the pitch, then whatever. I just really hope it's not the referees again, because if this game gets decided by a referee's decision, that'd just be terrible. But Kelly do use the pitch to advantage. I'm not a big fan of their pitch. I don't like playing on it. Hibs rarely ever do well on it, and it's a difficult place to go. And I think that's what just about gives Kilmarnock the edge in the game. But again, Kelly went to St Mirren and beat them 1-0 in December, so it's a tough one. And as I said, both sides are very evenly matched. It could just come down to one or two aspects in the game, and that could just be the pitch for them.
Mikey, Kelly Boy basically says, Mikey, you're my king of picture. King. There you go.
Someone's got taste. Someone's got taste.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good thing to know, Graham, to be honest with you. That's what I do. As for St Mirren, Graham, I know we've gave credit to Callum Davison early on in the show, but I mean, Stephen Robertson deserves a lot of credit as well, because he did well at he's doing well at St Mirren, but he did well at Motherwell in the past as well.
Yeah, and they didn't start the season that well. You know, they got knocked out the League Cup quite early on, so they didn't have a great start to the season, but they've really turned it around. Like I said, I think if you asked anybody who was going to be sitting fourth just now, I don't think many folk would have said St Mirren. So the season they've had has been absolutely fantastic. Can they keep it going for the rest of the season? I'm not sure if they've got the squad to do that. But you know what? Fair play to Stephen Robinson. He's done a great job. And this is the thing. Whenever a job comes around, i.e. Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, a guy like Stephen Robinson is always going to get mentioned, but he never tends to go to these clubs. But I think Stephen Robinson, and no disrespect to St Mirren, but I think Stephen Robinson's done a great job. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually did get a bigger club than St Mirren. They've had a great season, don't get me wrong. But I think Robinson does deserve to get mentioned with these kinds of jobs, like Aberdeen, for example. But, you know, it's going to be a very tough game tomorrow. I generally, like I said, I can't call this game. I think being at Rugby Park, the form that Kilmarnock have got there, obviously beat Celtic Rangers this season, I think Kilmarnock might just sneak it, but it'll be a very difficult game. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals. You know, Mike has mentioned the fact that there's not a lot of goal scorers in those teams. But I think the one player, obviously, we talk about all the time, the one player for Kilmarnock that could win this game is Danny Armstrong. I honestly think that guy is a fantastic player. And I don't want to sound harsh to Ross, the Kilmarnock fan, and he might agree with us, I don't know. But I think Danny Armstrong probably won't be at Kilmarnock come the summer. I think he'll leave, because I think he's too good for Kilmarnock. I really do. I think he's been outstanding for Kilmarnock.
Okay, let's speak. We spoke about Stephen Robertson. Let's speak about his old team now. Motherwell up against Aberdeen. We'll speak about Aberdeen in a minute, because I think we've got a lot to say about Aberdeen. We spoke about Kit last night on the show as well, and I cannot believe what's going on up there at the moment. And in fact, I wish we still had Dave on the show, that he would come in on his soapbox and hopefully say nice things and not swear as well. But Grim, talk about Motherwell. Stephen Kettlewell is another manager that's doing a good job.
It's what I said earlier about giving managers time. You know, when he was on that 15-game run without a win, there's not a lot of managers that actually get that kind of time. You know, a lot of managers after 4 or 5 games without a win, you think they're going to get sacked. But fair play Motherwell board. They stuck with him, and he's turned it round. You know, they're now only sitting, I think it's 4 points off top 6. Who would have seen that coming? And I know that Stephen's mentioned the same thing, how close this league is. And actually, Stephen did mention the fact that maybe the league isn't that great, because you can go 15 games without a win and still be near the top 6, which I do get. But fair play to Kettlewell. He's turned it round, and again, going to Ibrox and winning for the first time in how many years it was a massive result from Motherwell. Absolutely massive result. And again, it just goes to show that they do have a decent side there. And I've said it before as well, and Mikey knows this as well. I do not think anybody could have seen the form that Theo Bair is in. He has turned that round massively. He's now one of the top players in the league just now, which I never thought would happen. And I think he will cause Aberdeen numerous problems tomorrow because their defence is brutal. We talk about Livingston, but Aberdeen's defence is woeful. So I would not be surprised if Motherwell win that game tomorrow. I really wouldn't be. Like I said, fair play to Kettlewell. He was under massive pressure, but he's turned it around. And what a turnaround it's been. To go to Ibrox and win that game. And it wasn't particularly smash and grab. They deserved to win the game. They had chances to win that game and they took them. So fair play to Motherwell. Generally, I think Kettlewell's done a great job and fair play to him. Because like I mentioned, 15 games without a win, you're thinking you're going to get sacked. But fair play to Motherwell's board because they kept with him and it's proved the right decision. So fair play.
And that's what happens, Mikey. I know that we were talking about early on, like a manager, sometimes in football, in Scottish football, it's a revolving door. I would say the perfect example is Man United when Ten Hag as well, because he's been up and down and Man United is sticking by him. But that's what you get, when the manager's not doing well, but you stick by him and, you kind of get success. I'm not saying you're going to win cups or whatever, but you're going to win. You're going to start winning games, and that's what Motherwell's gig with Kettlewell.
Yeah, I think it speaks volumes about how good he is as a manager that they've stuck by him for a difficult patch. He's clearly been doing something right behind the scenes to warrant that, and I think that he's a solid manager. And I know that quite a few of these games. I mean, I would not have been surprised if he got sacked after they got beat 3-0 up at Ross County. That was a shocking game for them. And I don't know how a team that goes 15 games without a win is in with a chance of top six. And I was actually saying this the other day. Like, Hibs, if they beat Ross County, they would have only been 5 points off of fourth place. Considering how poor the Hibs season's been, it's just ridiculous. And then you've got, we give Kilmarnock and St Mirren all the praise, rightly so. But the teams that we completely disregard, obviously, like your Hibs and that, they're like a win and a bit behind them. So it's one of those ones where the league is so close. But I think for Motherwell, if they'd have slipped into the relegation zone, maybe he would have been sacked because sometimes the owners get a bit of panic then and they're like, oh, we are really in trouble here. But for Stuart Kettlewell, I mean, he seems like he's turning it around. Theo Bair, I don't know, one person that would have thought he'd get over 5 goals this season, let alone however many he's got. So, I mean, I have to give him credit for it. And I think if anyone's to really challenge Hibs for top 6, which I hope it will be, I actually think I'd expect Motherwell to be there more than Dundee.
I mean, me and Mikey talk out with the show. All right, Aviation, hope you're doing well, mate, and Caden as well. Me and Mikey talk out with the show. We've talked about Theo Bair before, and genuinely, I've said it before. When he was at St Johnstone, I think he scored 1 goal. Now, I think certain players suit certain clubs, and it looks to me like Theo Bair is actually suiting Motherwell style under Kettlewell. He's getting the best out of him. Now, I know that they lost Mika Beres, which is a big blow for them, losing him back to Arsenal again. But he's really stepped up. And I don't think, like I said earlier, and you said it as well, Mikey, I don't think anybody, and I think Stephen said the same thing, nobody could have seen the form that Theo Bair's on. He looks a completely different player. He looks physically strong. He's taking chances. He's making the right decisions. And the biggest thing, he's scoring goals. And nobody saw this coming. I genuinely don't think anyone saw this coming.
Mikey, Stuart Kettlewell was talking about this game, and he says, I preferred the game last weekend, but we used that time to get our players up to speed and to get some guys on the park for tomorrow. And that's the thing, because obviously, if you're a manager, you would prefer to play games. If you're football players, you would like to play football because they hate to train kind of 5 days a week, or maybe more to 6 days a week last week as well. But they're at home tomorrow against Aberdeen.
Yes, and I don't know about you, but I expect them to win the game. Aberdeen are just such a mess. But the thing is, they've got a real phone out of players like Blair Spittle, who I've rated for a while, but he's had a brilliant season this season. Obviously, Theo Bear as well. But the problem for Motherwell is defensively as well. Davis Mugabe, I know that Stephen's come on a few times and ripped him. I don't think he's a very good defender at all. And it's just, could you imagine where Motherwell would be if they had a good defence with the goals they're putting in? If they just had an all right run in that middle part, I think they could have been up there with Kelly and St Mirren, but it's just that in that terrible run they had that's put them right down. And for them to salvage top six now would be a brilliant season, all things considered, for them. Just coming on to the game tomorrow, I do think they'll win. I think 2-0. I know I've just come off the back of saying that they've not got a good defence and expect a clean sheet, but I mean, it's one of those games where if Motherwell win it, then the teams ahead of them will be looking over their shoulder fully now. I think they'd move like a point behind Hibs, a point behind 2 points behind Dundee or something. So it'd be a very big game for them, and I do fully expect them to win.
Graham, Peter Leaving from Aberdeen was saying that we must prove like they can. He said we must prove that they can cope under pressure. He was talking about Aberdeen as well, but I don't know about you, but like I kind of feel a bit sorry for Peter Leaving. I think he's been hung out to dry a wee bit as well, and like I know if Aberdeen fans or Paul Donaldson's maybe watching tonight, I would like Dave Cormack just to come out and speak to the media, but you know that's not going to happen.
No, because he tends to put all his stuff on X or Twitter, I should say. I said this last night. I feel sorry for Peter Leaving. He doesn't want to be in that position yet again. He's having to front the press. He's having to take questions that he doesn't want to get asked. But I understand why he's got to answer them. But I feel sorry for him. You know, you're putting a guy in a really difficult position. They need to get this sorted quicker. Now, I know that Ross has put a thing in the comments there that Jimmy Thielen, Swedish football manager, is talking to Aberdeen. I don't know a lot about the guy. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who he is. But they need to get this sorted out quickly. You know, they are now no wins in 11 league games. They've only won 2 Scottish Cup games against Bonnyrigg Rose and Kilmarnock. And don't get me wrong, Kilmarnock was really good. But they are just such a poor side this season. And again, I don't think anyone saw this coming. And I said it last night, but I can now expand on it because we're talking about it. But if you look at the European games that Aberdeen played, I didn't think they got enough points. I thought they were very good in half these games. I thought they were far better against Eintracht Frankfurt and Pauk than I thought they were going to be. And you're thinking, right, they've actually got a decent side here and they're doing well. But the league form has been dreadful. But then you think, right, they're out of Europe now. They can concentrate on the league. But yet again, they've been so inconsistent. And the whole, and I talked about it last night, we're going to say it again. The whole Neil Warnock thing has been an absolute shambles. To bring a guy up who didn't understand Aberdeen, didn't understand Scottish football. He talked about the fact that he wanted to, you know, have a chance at Scottish football. That's fine. But he treated it like a holiday. And I'm going to keep saying that. He treated it like a holiday. And then you've just won. Now, he was expected to stay for the rest of the season to help Aberdeen out. To then win that Scottish Cup game against Kilmarnock and then leave on the back of that was just bizarre. I don't get it. It's been an absolute failure. And it's been one disaster after another. Barry Robson, Stephen Glass, Neil Warnock. It's been an absolute disaster. Aberdeen are a big club. This should not happen. And I said it last night and I'll keep repeating myself. Dave Cormack has got to take responsibility for this. Now, you said it as well yourself, Michael, as well. Where is he? He's quite happy to make comments on Twitter, but where is he in public? Come out and say what's happening. Come out and say why you've made these decisions. Nobody's actually come out and said why Warnock's left. All we heard was Neil Warnock came out after the Kilmarnock game and said, I made my mind up on Thursday. Well, why? Why did he decide he was going to leave now? The timing of it's weird, and Aberdeen right now looking absolute shambles. That's not how you run a football club. And for me, Dave Cormack's got to front this and give reasons why this has happened. And I said it last night. they cannot afford to get this appointment wrong because they have failed miserably.
Mikey, that was what I was saying about managers earlier on in the show. I don't think, okay, you can argue the case that the team's been woeful on the park this season, but I don't think the manager situation is helping them. The other thing that comes to mind about Neil Warnock is he's using Scotland as a kind of busman's holiday. He's coming up here in the tour bus for 2 weeks and say, you know what, it's not for me, I'm going back down the road. But I was saying this to Graham the other week in the show as well. Why sack Paddy Robson? You know, because, okay, that the football wasn't brilliant, but they were still, you know, grinding out points here and there. But, you know, but I think Aberdeen was a bit hasty to get rid of Robson, because what's the difference between him and Neil Warnock? Because if you look at it, Robson's got a better record than, I mean, he beat Rangers. He beat Rangers twice and got them to a League Cup semi-final.
See, can I just quickly come in on the thing with the managers? I think there's a little bit of last season kind of papering over the cracks at Aberdeen. Barry Robson came in, and we were speaking about this earlier about the new manager bounce. He came in and took them from 10th in the league up to 3rd, which was brilliant. But look at the season before that, they finished 10th. The season, obviously this season, it's gone back rubbish again, and under Jim Goodwin, they were down in a relegation battle again. I genuinely do not think this squad is as good as what people think it is, because it's been 3 seasons in a row now. They would have been heading for bottom half if it wasn't for the new manager bounce last season. And since Neil Warnock came up, I think sacking Barry Robson, yet again, in hindsight, didn't work. But the only reason they got rid of him was to try and salvage top 6. And that's obviously not happened at all. And now top 6 is gone. And now they need to try and stay up. And the weird thing is, in the Cup, they've been okay. The worst thing about it is the way they've handled it. I've said it already. Neil Warnock is looking like he's just left on his own accord, which, why? You've been here like 4 weeks, you've barely picked up results. At least do your job and finish to the end of the season. If you're not doing well enough, at least like pay your end of the deal, which he just hasn't done. It looks like he's just gone. And again, that's another thing that Aberdeen can take as a failure this season. And they need to try and rebuild for next season. But again, they're looking for a new manager. They need to rebuild again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they miss out on top 6 again next season. So it's just a weird one for them, because over the last 3 years, 3 seasons, they've been down the bottom at one point, like down near the bottom. And the only time was that new manager bounce that we talk about, which isn't really representative. So it's been so weird for them.
And it's a bit weird, Graham, right? Because if you didn't know about Aberdeen's season or where they are in the league and what managers in today and what managers in this week, when you look at that game last week against Kilmarnock, they played at a top six team.
They did. I mean, I think Kilmarnock helped them though, because Kilmarnock picked the wrong day to have an off day because they were really poor. But you can only be able to put in front of you. And Aberdeen did really well. I mean, there were 2 deflected goals in there, but it did kind of paper over the cracks a little bit, because I think maybe a lot of folk probably thought after that game, right, they'll kick on now, and then they lose to Dundee, and they were dreadful, and they should have lost that game by more than 1. They were awful. There just seems to be a real lack of leadership. They're rudderless just now, and like I said, Dave Commont's got to take the blame for that. And again, people talk about where would Hearts be without Shankland. Where would Aberdeen be without Iofsky? I mean, he's now not scored in the last 7 games. He's badly off form. They are just in a really difficult position just now. And they won't make top 6. They've got nowhere near that. And I actually think Mikey's right. I think last season paper over the cracks. A lot of folks said, Aberdeen won 3rd last season. They did. Hearts chucked it away. We were miles clear and then bottled it. That's where I go with that. I think Aberdeen are in a rut just now. And I think the European games papered over that. Because like I said, we did the European shows for all those games. And I thought in pretty much all those games, Aberdeen competed really well. I thought they were excellent. And you're kind of thinking, right, after the European games are finished now, they'll get back in the league, they'll get back on form, and it's been nowhere near that. And I just think, appointing Neil Warnock, I said at the time, was box office, and it failed miserably. It was a massive, massive failure. And it did feel like he came here thinking, right, I want to come to Scotland. I'm here now. But to leave the way that he did is just really weird. And the way that he talked as well after the game, it sounded to me like he knew or he thought that Aberdeen had a manager in place. And they clearly don't, because they've already said that they're going to be looking at people after the national break. So they've clearly not got a manager in place. I would love to know, and I don't know if this will ever come out, I would love to know about why Warnock left. Why did he leave at that point? And to leave after you've just taken a team to a semi-final of the Scottish Cup, that's the thing I can't get my head around. Why would you leave after you've just got your team to a semi-final? And I'm sure the Aberdeen players must be thinking as well, what is going on here? And I said it last night, and I keep on repeating it. I feel sorry for Peter Lever, because he's got nothing to do with this. And he's been asked to front the press. He's been asked to take the team, and from by all accounts, he doesn't want to do that job. But he's got no choice because he's been forced to do it. It's an absolute shambles. It really is.
Can I just quickly come in on something? Obviously, for doing my own stuff, obviously personally, I do a lot of kind of different ideas. And I did one about what if every team didn't have their main goal scorer, like where they would be points-wise. Aberdeen would be bottom of the league without Majowski. And that's taking into account all the other teams losing their top scorers as well. They would have lost, I think, I can't remember exactly how many points, but he's won them so many games this season, and they're already in this situation. So without him, they would be in the relegation zone. And it's incredible to think that a team that's come off the back of a third place finish is in a genuine relegation battle. And without Majowski, they would be relegated. They would be in the bottom spot of the league.
I don't know if you know this, Mikey, but I couldn't even tell you who Aberdeen's second top goal scorer is.
No.
I think it's McGrath, actually.
Is it? And he's not even got that many, I don't think.
I think he's got like 5. Majowski's got like 18, I think, or 14 maybe.
That's mental.
Mikey, the whole Neil Warnock thing, we can talk about this all night, but I think Aberdeen appointed him because they wanted the fans back on side as a box office manager, but also as well, I'm thinking about, and I think we spoke about this last Sunday when we were on as well. Do you feel as though that, I don't know, because we're all football fans here watching the programme or whatever, I just hate people that comes up here and uses Scottish football. I mean, I could name you 2 players that played for Celtic in the past. One of them's Roy Keane and Robbie Keane. Now, the 2 of them just come up here and says, yeah, I'm a big Celtic fan. Well, my argument with that is, if you were a Celtic fan, how did you not come up here 10 years ago?
Can I give you another one? Michael? Can I give you another one? Ian Wright.
Yeah.
Joey Barton.
Yeah.
Joey Barton as well for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I bet you we can spend the whole show talking about this, like, players that, I mean, coming up to Hearts and Hibs or whoever, but like, it's just so that they can put on the CV that, oh yeah, I played for this team. They were my boyhood heroes, but guess what? I never scored getting the goals, but I make a lot of money out of that team. But yeah. Ian Wright's a good example, Glenn, because I heard a story that one night when Celtic got beat off Inverness, yes, and Ian Wright was basically laughing at the whole team because Celtic get beat as well. But that's what I mean about Neil Warnock, because as at very first press conference they came out and said, I've always wanted to manage in Scotland. Now, if you were a Hibs fan watching that, Mikey, you would probably say, well, why did you not come up here years ago then if you were supporting Hibs, like 10 years ago or whatever? Or maybe he's just saying that to get the fans back on side.
Yes, I think that's the main point with it. They kind of come up and you obviously give that media thing saying, oh, I've always liked the club. And it's just to get the fans on side. I can name you quite a few examples of that. Obviously, Freddie Ljungberg, Senderos, all of them. But, I mean, a lot of them do use it for a CV. Obviously, I was mentioning this, they don't get the recognition for it. Teams like Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen. But for Celtic and Rangers, that is a massive club on your CV. And for a player like Senderos, for example, who was at Arsenal, he was a pretty decent player for them, made a good career for himself. He came up to Rangers and was absolutely terrible. Nico Cranchar as well. There's so many names I could go through. But it's just like, you can just put it on your CV, and so many players have done that. And Neil Warnock, the more it goes on, the more it's looking like he's just done that. And it's one of those ones where he keeps retiring and then coming back. But this one was a job that, at least if you're not doing well, just at least pay your end of the deal and just finish the season with them. Because now you've left them in an even worse place than they were.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find? Do you know what I find funny? Right, you get all these folk in England who slate the Scottish League. Yet look how many players we've just lined off that have come from England to play in Scotland, and yet it gets an absolute kicking. Yeah. And actually, Michael, you mentioned the best one there, Joey Barton. Joey Barton thought he'd come here, earn a few bob, have it easy, and he went back down with his tails between his legs. Failed. Absolutely failed miserably.
I'll just say on that one quickly. The funniest moment of that was on the first day of the season when he got nutmegged by Ali Crawford. That just said enough for me.
And I mean, look at the teams that actually buys players from Scotland, like Van Dijk. I mean, he's a top class player, but guess what? He was playing in the Mickey Mouse League, and you bought him.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
You know,
yeah, that's what I mean. There's so many folks that look at the Scottish game and look down on it, but like, look at the players that have gone from like England to Scotland, Scotland to England. Managers that have come. You know, it's not actually that bad a league, and it just shows you that's not the case. People knock the Scottish game, but look how many players have come here, and look how many players that have come here and couldn't handle it. Honestly, it's a joke, and I don't want to keep mentioning his name, but honestly, Neil Warnock, pointless, absolutely pointless. What was the need for him to be here?
Let's go on to talk about the last game of the weekend there. On Sunday, Dens Park, Dundee against Rangers. And it'll be interesting to see, Mikey, I was saying earlier on about how Rangers will handle the pressure by playing second, but it will be interesting how they will bounce back from that result last night, because, I mean, you saw like the build-up of the game. You saw everybody was up for the game. Rangers even had a banner out before the game saying we are going to Dublin, even though it wasn't the semi-final last night, but we'll skim over the top of that now. But it will be quite interesting how they'll bounce back from that performance last night to a totally different game on Sunday.
I think that the good thing for Rangers is, and for the advantage they have for the Scottish League, is that they could probably put out their full team and win, which is just the poor reality of it. Maybe not at Dens Park, but at Ibrox definitely. I fully expect some of their better players to be maybe rested for this game, because they just have such a tricky schedule. I do expect Diamande to be in. He's been good for them, and I do think they'll bounce back, but I don't think it'll be a formality of a win. I think it might be 1 or 2-0. Dundee have a couple of big injuries. I think they have the best left back in the league, and Owen Beck, he's out injured. So I think it'll be a tough game for Rangers, because Dundee will come in 5 at the back, and again they'll sit in. They'll maybe try and come out a little bit as they're at home, but I think Rangers will get the job done, maybe 1 or 2-0. But I do think they'll bounce back, and I don't think that any of the fans have turned on the manager, which is a big thing. And I think they're just a little bit disappointed that it's a bit of an off game, but there's no kind of meltdown around Rangers at the moment.
Graham, Philip Clement was speaking after the game last night. He got his press conference after the game last night for the game against Dundee. He said, very disappointed on the game, but we have to move on to the next game, and that's against Dundee. And that's right, and because they're still in the title race as well, and they can still win the treble.
Absolutely. You know, they were disappointed after last night, understandably. We did the show last night, and I did think that Rangers just didn't carry enough threat going forward, but they've had a good campaign. But they will know that going out that game on Sunday, assuming that Celtic will beat St Johnstone, Celtic go back to the top, they need to try and get back that top spot. And I think they maybe will rest a few players. It's a chance to bring like Ross McCausland back in, a chance to start Todd Cantwell.
I said it last night that for me, I think Dessers must be one of the most frustrating players in this league. I don't think he'll start. If Kemaru's fit, I think he might come in. But it is a game that I do think Rangers will win. They've got enough quality. The last time they were at Dens Park, they won 5-0. I don't think that'll happen this time. I think Dundee will be a bit better this time. But I do think Rangers will have enough quality. But again, like we talked about St Mirren and Kilmarnock, I think Tony Docherty's Dundee have had a fantastic season this season. They're not going to be just on games like Rangers and Celtic. They've had a fantastic season. But I do just think that Rangers' quality should shine through. But it's one of these games that if Dundee are up for it, which they will be, they can make it difficult. But I do think Rangers will win though.
Mike, I would say if the game was at Ibrox, it's a totally different game. But it's at Dens Park. It's outside the back door, basically. So anything could happen.
I can see this game being very similar to the St Johnstone Rangers game a few weeks ago. Maybe minus the later goals. I can see it being a pretty horrible watch on the eye. And yet again, I'm going to call from the TV deal. Just let us watch St Mirren Kilmarnock. That's the most important game of the weekend for me. And that would be such a good game to watch. Maybe not goals-wise, but just for the importance of it. But again, I think Dens Park, the pitch, we know it's not great. And if the game even goes ahead with the rain that we're getting, then yeah, that would be nice. But the thing is, for me, I think Rangers are going to win the game. I don't think it'll be comfortable, but I think that they'll get the job done. And it's just one of these classic games where it's not the best game to watch, but by the end of the game, they'll come out with 3 points and the performance won't matter. I can see probably an early goal and then maybe just, I guess, another kind of formality of a game. But I could fully expect the pitch to be pretty horrible and the game to be pretty bad on the eye. But I do think Rangers will just about get the job done.
Okay, so that's where Premiership round up for tonight. We'll jump into the Championship before we talk about tonight's game. Dunfermline against Dundee United. Let's round up all the other games. Airdrie against Arbroath. Inverness against Ayr. Packet Thistle against Morton. That seems to be the game of the day in the Championship for me. And Queen's Park is at home to Raith Rovers. And I was actually thinking this last night, Graham, that when was the two kind of biggest Glasgow sides been in Glasgow at the one time, Celtic and Queen's Park? But never mind. Let's go back to the game in Hangler because I might get a bit of stick for that. But anyway, Dunfermline against Dundee United. Graham, how do you think this game will go tonight?
Dunfermline have had a very difficult season, currently sitting 7th, and they have lost their last 2 games, but they were 4 unbeaten. But this is a game that I do think United will win. I mean, this title race is brilliant. 1 point in it between United and Raith Rovers. It's a brilliant title race, and they are well clear of Partick Thistle in 3rd place. But I think United will have more than enough to win this game. I think Dunfermline have improved slightly under James McPake. I know that Dunfermline fans are not overly impressed with him, to be honest, but I think United will win this game. But I genuinely think this title race, like I said about the Rangers Celtic game, is going to go right down to the wire. I think they're 2 very good teams racing United, but I think United will have enough quality to win this game. I mean, again, I've got a lot of United fans that I speak to that are not overly massive fans of Jim Goodwin, which I kind of get. Again, his football is not overly impressive, but he's got a really good side there. You know, he's got guys that can score goals like Louis Moult. He's got Tony Watt. You think they'd be slightly better than they are, but they don't play brilliant football. But I do think they'll have enough to beat Dunfermline because Dunfermline, again, defensively are not fantastic. So I do think you need to win, but it'll be tough.
Mikey, the 2 managers were talking yesterday. James McPake says, we're looking forward to this game. It'll be a good atmosphere and it's on the TV. I always like a Friday night game. Meanwhile, Jim Goodwin says it will be so that it's always been a tight game fixture this season against Dunfermline. But I don't see this. I don't see this game will be any different. But we are going there to focus on ourselves. We just need to pick up 3 points, Mikey. And I think that's the thing no matter what league you're playing in, if it's England, Ireland, Scotland, obviously, it doesn't matter how you play in 90 minutes, as long as you get the win.
See, the funny thing with the championship is, I was looking at the table, and it's like you look away for a week, and there's already been 3 game weeks, and someone's 3 games unbeaten when they were 9 without a win. And that's what I felt like for Dunfermline. I watched the game against Partick Thistle, which must have been quite a few weeks ago now, and they were on this terrible run, and then they were unbeaten in 4, and it's just like, it just seems to be games after games. And yeah, I think it's just this time of the season they need to try and get these results over the line. And the championship can change so quickly because, as I said a matter of weeks ago, Dunfermline looked like they were heading towards the playoff spot. They're out of that now. And then they're back on this bad run. And it feels like it's just been kind of a week or two. But yeah, it's just so important for each team to pick up points. And on the whole Jim Goodwin thing, I don't rate him as a manager very highly at all. I think that Dundee United squad should easily be winning the championship. I think it's a Premiership quality squad. It's just they're not as good as they should be. And I think under a better manager, I think they kind of blitzed the league, in my opinion.
This is how tight this championship is. There is 6 points between Morton in 4th and Inverness in 9th. That is how close this championship is. It's mental. Honestly, I've said it before, I love the championship. It's brilliant. It is so tight.
And to be honest with you there, the Partick Thistle, I don't know if you guys saw the game the other night, but I was disappointed against Thistle. I thought they would put up a decent fight, especially at home as well.
See, I like Partick Thistle because, I don't know why, just when I was younger, they were obviously in the Premiership as I was growing up, and they always seemed to be quite an interesting team to watch. I do want to see them back in the Premiership. I think they've got a decent fan base, but it's just been back to back failures for them. Obviously, they came down from the Premiership, finished 6th, I think. They got relegated, came back up, and since then they've been getting in the playoffs, just falling at the final hurdle. And I mean, last season was their chance. 3-0 up on aggregate and cruising.
Yeah.
They give away the penalty, they get back into the game, whatever. This season, I expected them to finish 2nd. They're 3rd, which is not far off it, but they've been very far off the top 2, I think. So it's just this it's just the kind of lack of bottle, I think, for Partick Thistle, where they just can't get it over the line. And I do want to see them back up, but at this rate, it just doesn't look like it'll ever happen.
Here's a question for you guys and the guys in the chat. We talked about this months and months ago. I think me and Michael were talking about, how good it would be for Arbroath to come up to the Premiership. It didn't quite happen. They are now 8 points adrift at the bottom of the championship. Now, do you guys and the guys in the chat think, assuming that Arbroath go to the League One, do you think Arbroath would come straight back up from League One, or do you think they could spend a while in that League One?
Do you want to go first?
Because I'm older than you. Yeah, okay. I think they'll struggle to get back up, just because of they've not got a lot of financial clout behind them, and also that if they're going to put the season that they got to the playoffs, they put a lot of effort into that, and they fell at the last card draw as well. So I think that will play a part as well. I hope not. I hope they stay up, but it doesn't look like it as well. But as we all know, football's a funny old game.
I think that it's a weird one because obviously it's kind of been a feature of the last few seasons where there'll be a team that kind of overperforms. It was Arbroath, and then it was Queen's Park last season. Seems to be Raith Rovers this season. So I don't think that's hugely representative. Obviously, they've kind of been around that spot, just outside the playoffs for a couple of years. But if they were to go down, I couldn't see them coming back up. I think that Hamilton are a better team than them. I think Alloa are a better team than them. So whoever doesn't go up out of those two, if not both of them, I think they have a better chance next season. But yeah, again, I think the League One is a decently competitive league as well. So I think that maybe if Queen of the South can pick themselves back up and kind of improve a little bit, it's not a given that Arbroath will come straight back up. And over the course of history, they are a League One, League Two side. They have been kind of punching above their weight, a bit like Livy. So I do not see Arbroath coming back up straight away. I think it'd take quite a while for them to come back up. And even teams like Kelty Hearts, who have been on such a good run, that momentum could carry them into the Championship before Arbroath come back.
What about you, Glenn?
Comments coming in here. So Ross says Arbroath will win League One easily. Caden Malone says yes, probably brilliant away day. Slide Scott second out. That's a great name. They bounce back up. Ross says my cousin Reece Armstrong for Spartans is joining in the summer. Decent signing. Caden Malone, Gaston is so bad. Their goalkeeper, yeah, he doesn't look great. I'm going to be honest. And Slide Scott second says Arbroath will not stay up though. So a lot of comments coming in again tonight. Keep them coming, guys.
I'll just say on Gaston, he's been around for so long. I used to collect football cards, and he was on the Morton team about 8 years ago. So he just always seems to be about.
I don't think the football cards were invented when we were younger, Graham. Moving on. How can I gift to be younger again? Pick of the game tomorrow, Graham. A couple of good games, guys, tomorrow. I don't know, but I mean, Packet, Fifth and Morton, that's quite interesting, that game. What about you guys?
I think it's a standout one. Obviously, it's two teams really battling for playoffs. I think Partick Thistle will get playoffs. Morton, there's no guarantee there. I think did you say 4 points off the relegation playoff spot? So they need to try and keep the pace, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think that it's a big game, and if it's at a Capel, because if it is, okay, I think that might make it even more interesting then, because I think it's very 50-50 on that one. I could see maybe a 2-2 3-2 draw in that one.
Graham?
Yeah, I mean, Partick Morton's clearly the standout game, but you've also got to look at the bottom of the table, where it is Inverness against Ayr United. Ayr United currently sitting 8th, a point in front of Inverness, who are sitting in 9th, so that again's a big game as well in the bottom of that championship. But yeah, I mean, I think Duncan Fergus has done a decent job at Inverness, maybe not quite get the results he needs. But yeah, I mean, Partick Morton's going to be a great game. Like I said, I was really impressed by Dugan and side against Hearts last week. Thought they were very good. They just ran out a bit of a steam. And you look at the bench, they couldn't fill the bench. There 5 players on the bench. One of them was a sub-goalkeeper. So they're struggling with injuries. George Oakley's been out, which is a big blow. But I think Morton have had a great season so far. If they can keep in that 4th place, they've got a chance to get promoted, which would be fantastic. But yeah, Partick Morton's a standout fixture. But I think being at home, I think Partick might just sneak it.
Before we go, guys, we'll round up the Six Nations. It's been a disappointing campaign again, Graham. It's happened too many times for Scotland. I mean, they started well, and then, as they say, the wheels on the bus came off the bus. Because tomorrow they play against Ireland in Dublin, and you can only see, an Ireland win tomorrow. 4:45 kickoff for that one, Graham.
I tried to be optimistic at the start of the Six Nations, thinking Scotland could win this, and we started off all right. And then we beat England, as we always do, and I thought we've got a chance here. And then, as only Scotland could do, we go to Italy, comfortably ahead, and then get beat. It's the typical Scotland way. Gutted, absolutely gutted how we lost that game. Should never have lost that. And then you look back at the France game as well, with a try that wasn't given, that should have been given, and you just think, what if? But it's typical Scotland. I mean, Scotland Ireland games are always big games anyway. Tomorrow doesn't mean anything in terms of winning the championship, but it'll be a decent crowd. But it's horrendous, because I think Scotland should have done better than that. Now, there is a positive, as I say, we beat England again, because we always do just now, which is weird. But yeah, it's massively disappointing to go into this game and it not mean anything. You know, there will be a big crowd there, but it's just a shame it's not going to mean anything. Because this game should have been, for me, the decider, and it's not.
But that happened last season as well, Graham. We had 2 games to go. I think we were playing Ireland in the last game. Oh no, the second last game it wasn't. Bengi got thrown away. But Greg Townling was talking, the head coach, and they were saying that Scotland needs something special in Ireland tomorrow. And you know what? I think he's right, because that Ireland's some team.
I mean, you'd like to finish the campaign on a high, so it would be great if Scotland could win, but it's just been a disappointment because I generally thought there was optimism on the Scotland side. We started off really well. We got a couple of decent ones against Wales and against England, and you think we've got a real chance here. But that Italy game, what was that? Italy's first win against us in 11 years?
I love it. Yeah.
Such a disappointment, and the way we lost it as well. We were winning the game. We were comfortable, and then just stupid mistakes cost us, and it's cost us the Six Nations. So it's a massive letdown. But we've got to learn lessons for next time.
And it's a massive letdown for everybody watching because that's us finished for another week. We'll be back on Sunday. Thanks to Mikey Boy, Mikey the Pizza King, and Graham Duffy. I don't know what I could say about Graham. But thanks for watching. Thanks to all your contributors, and we'll do it all again on Sunday. We won't be here next Friday because Scotland's playing, but good luck to Scotland next week against Ireland, Holland, and Northern Ireland. And we'll be back on Sunday. See you soon.
Come on, Hearts!